私は人間です。よろしくお願いします。Shit, man. Shit, man. What a dude, though. For real. Go on the club and shit, man. All these fucking bitches, man. Shit, man. What a dude, though, man. I go and talk to these bitches. Like, oh my god, my friend. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. Shit. I don't care about none of that, bitch. What a dude, though. What a dude, though. It's the only thing I care about. What a dude, though. Shit, man. It ain't even just with, like, bitches and shit, man. It's like that platonic shit, too, man. Like, my friends, man, shit. They be talking about that bitches and shit, man. But what it do, though? What it do? The fuck we talking about, nigga? What it do, though? Fuck, man. Shit. It's fuck, man. Shit's fuck. Got this shit everywhere, man. Everyone distracted. And asking themselves the important questions like, what it do, though? Well, what it do, though? That's the question you gotta ask yourself. Well, what it do, though? That'd be what you'll ask. That'd be what you'll ask yourself. Right? What it do, though? Shit, man. People so far gone as far as what it do, though. They even trying to mix a nigga up at the stall. Got this checkout person, and they're trying to chat me up over fucking what? What politics at a store? Oh, what it do, though? Elections don't already happen. Right guy won, but goddamn, those things have been a little sus since, I don't know, the first one. And it only went downhill from there. So what it do, though? I'm not saying people shouldn't do the right thing politically. Obviously. But what it do, though? Shit, man. We got this, so-called Elon, so-called Musk. Shit, man, what he do, though? In a colorful words, awesome person. He a turtle on a fence post. Now, I know they didn't originate this statement. The way I heard their music was quite succinct. He a turtle on a fence post. He is there because they need someone to put there. He's like a paper tiger. That nigga ain't no nigga. That nigga ain't no genius. He ain't no nigga. He sure as hell ain't no genius. Genius. Genius, nigga. What it do, though? See, this is what it do. Genius are family of Eos. Well, Eos is the dawn. This also means 8. Or yes. Or hi. Shit, man. Hi means yes in Japanese, but it also means gray. Gray. The house or nature of the ray, right? So the king, so God the Father, man. That's what it do. That's what gray do, though. What's I talking about? Oh, yeah. That man ain't no genius, man. Shit, man. People don't get the words, man. Shit. They gotta ask themselves, what to do, though? I like Genesis. You think about Genesis, dog. Genesis? Gen? Meaning family house or the nature of, right? And then Isis. Well, Isis or Isis. Well, they say Isis, for one, is in the quote-unquote Egyptian goddess, but Egypt wasn't the Americas. People try to black that shit up. They try to take all us niggas out of it. Nigga meaning what, as I can prove to anyone. Anyone wants a super easy thing that leans to this fact. How about the fact that nigga and mega are the same term, as in the Greek mega, right? And mega means expansive. Extremely expansive, like unto the sun. Now, anyone mind telling me what color the sun is? I won't point the phone right at it right now, but anyone who looks at the sun, I know it's harder for people without dark brown eyes, but anyone who looks at the sun, I know a lot of people still do it. Work yourself up and don't do anything that's going to hurt you, obviously. You can't cause permanent damage, but looking at the sun is good for you. Now, if you look at the sun, he is rather white. He is whiter than I am. He is whiter than I am, my nigga. Now, here's the thing about that. Nigar also means near the spirit or child of the spirit. And the spirit would relate to the part of the planet that is associated with the genitals or the phallus, as this is related to the spirit. Now, this part of the planet is very clearly the Gulf of America in the state of Florida. That's the thing about that. That's what they are. That is the south pole of the planet, because the planet is a flat plane. That is objectively true. Here, I'll go over the basketball thing. Yeah, I done did it in another video. I'll go over it again. I mean, simply the angles of things in the sky, in all angle. Anyone who's into throwing shit off, the angle at which you throw things are going to be based off the Earth being flat when you really contemplate it logically and whatnot. Like when you ask what it do though, it's like, oh shit, I am throwing based off this motherfucker being flat because it is. It's like, oh, it's a trick. You see, it's just an illusion. Oh, and by the way, being a man or a woman's an illusion too. You should let us pump you full of hormones. Pay us for that. Pay us to chop off your genitals and whatnot. Whatever you do, don't reproduce the right way, the way God intended. You know, marriage, that thing that can only be achieved between a man and a woman. Yeah, that's more than some certificate a bunch of government faggots give you. No. It's a process of making love, so to speak. Or to be quite crass, fucking. But most people talking about fucking, they talking about bastardry, not marriage. So here's the deal, I'll explain. So let's take a look at the word bastard. Bastard. If you've bastard something, I think everybody knows what it means to baste something. Well, if you're a bastard, you were bastarded into your mama. You were a shotgun shot into your mama. Now that's pretty much all the ways people being born for a while now, because the anti-existence motherfuckers want everybody doing that, because if you're doing that, you're hurting yourself. Now here's the thing. If you don't bastard, right? If you choose to hold the line like our Father God did. So ab initio is in from the start, since nothingness demands somethingness, and the nothingness could not have preceded the nothingness. I mean, the somethingness. The nothingness could not have preceded the somethingness. You know, that's what it do. So ab initio, that means from the start, right? Ab initio, you have nothingness and somethingness, right? And this somethingness, God our Father chose to hold the line, so to speak, right? He chose to hold the line, thus causing rather than going away into this nothingness, which was his other option. In that first instant, ab initio, he had the option to either hold the line, so to speak, or to go away into the nothingness. Now, he chose to hold the line. Because conservation, well, because he is good. Because he is the greatest. Because he loves us and we love him. God bless him. God bless you, Heavenly Father, who art in heaven. Hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Amen. Heavenly Father, who art in heaven. Hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth. Okay. The point being, if he had gone away, this would be expenditure, leads to contraction, leads to consumption, leads to nothingness. Whereas conservation breeds expansion and then utilization. Now it takes perception. When people say someone's ability to see, they don't just mean me seeing this phone or the shit around me. They mean the ability to perceive and understand. They mean Deva Mana, or like a mana closer to God, as opposed to one that is further from God. Now, it takes some good perception to really feel what I mean when I say that consumption and utilization are not the same thing. Okay? Now, if you really contemplate on what I'm saying, when I'm saying conservation breeds expansion, breeds utilization, whereas expenditure breeds contraction, breeds consumption, breeds nothingness, I think you'll understand what I'm saying. To digress, those faggots want everyone thinking they're on a ball, because this ain't the case. Right? Here's a basketball, right? Now, imagine you're a person on this basketball, right? Moving around, right? You're only going to be moving around in 2.5D. You're going to be constantly changing which way you're front facing and moving, like Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter. Whereas the reality of the situation is 3D, like Soul Calibur or Tekken. Now, to get to the point, imagine you're a bunch of people on this ball. Sorry about that. Imagine you're a bunch of people on this ball trying to play basketball. Now, how's that going to work out for you? It's not going to work right. It's going to be fucking... You can't play ball on a ball. You play ball on a court, yes? Even if you're playing it... Well, that's probably bad. It's still whack. Imagine people trying to play basketball on this basketball, right? Means to scale and whatnot. It would be awful. Just don't work. You play ball on a court. You play ball on a court. Everything around you, the angles, as far as anyone who's into throwing stuff, or even shooting basketballs, because that pseudo counts as throwing stuff. Anyone who's into projectiles won't get it. Anyone who's into, and that would include punching and fists and kicks. Anyone who's delved deep enough into how to manipulate space using objects, whether it be your own appendages or things that aren't attached to you that you then toss, you'll notice that the Earth is most definitely flat. Existence is most definitely flat. We're on a plane. What was I talking about before that? Oh yeah, the reason that is relevant is the South Pole is not fucking Antarctica. The South Pole is Florida. Part of the plane that relates to the sign Scorpio or the phallus, right? The 8. Hence, this area was once called Atland. At meaning 8, man. At means 8. So Atland, or 8 land, or the land of Scorpio, or the land of the South Pole, being the Gulf of America and Florida. Now, this area was called Amber, and this is relevant because the Gulf of Mexico is like unto the warm, life-giving fluid known as Ambla. By the grace of God the Father, Appa used with the nanny goat to conceive Adam and Eve, or flying fire, from whom we all descend. Right? But the people there were doing things they shouldn't have. After a certain point, they need to do things in order to quote-unquote evolve. Now, theory of evolution is much crap, but things obviously do change over time. And they did things, Ryan and their descendants, that is, did things that were a cause for change, right? Cause for this adaptation to occur, so that we could go from being like all the other creatures, which are embodying the other choice God had of going away into the nothingness with how they have to reproduce, right? We eventually, through processes, reach the point where, like unto God, we do not have to go away in order to reproduce. In that respect, we are the only one of his creatures who gets to embody that principle with reference to that process of conservation, breeds expansion, breeds utilization. You see, existence could not have happened from an event, because otherwise, that's what these faggot anti-existence, which, the Pope, Hitler, and the so-called Jews were all friends. I mean, that tells you, that should give you something of a hint of where the battle lines have been drawn to a degree. Yeah, they want people thinking that it was a process of the Big Bang, and then or something else, and we're playing out the events, and then we're essentially playing out the aftershock from an event. Is the uber materialistic, nihilistic, weird ass, retarded, non-logical, don't make no sense view on the world that they try to drill into everyone from the time they're popping out nowadays, and since I was little too. The point being, that doesn't make no sense. They want everybody, oh my god, the aftershocks of the event are going to run out, and then everything's going to end. Ooh, no. Anyone who pays any attention sees that life is, what? A process of continual growth. It is a process of continual growth. Okay, so it's a continual process. Okay, so it must be based on the principles of conservation, breeds expansion, breeds utilization, and vice versa. Any process of continual growth must be based off those things, you know? Process of continual growth is an embodiment indicative of that. You know, that is what that is. Conservation breeds expansion, breeds utilization is a process of continual growth. So yeah, it's a process that is ongoing, is what existence is very clearly. And then quick note, as far as gravity, just anyone who's already over the optical illusion as far as the truth that the earth is flat, rather than tricking yourself into, it's not flat, I'm just optical illusion myself. I'm just suffering from I'm just too stupid to understand what's going on. That's what they're trying to get everyone to essentially admit, when that's not the case. They wish everyone was too stupid to understand what's going on around them. That's why they try to make everyone think that from the time they're babies onwards, every time they reincarnate. The point being, the earth is flat, and just ask yourself honestly, hold your arm out or anything else out. Ask yourself, A, does your arm feel like there's a force pulling it down? And B, is it just another optical illusion that if you're not feeling that you're not? And then C, why would your arm or other things go down if there's not gravity? Now, this is fairly common sense. You see, if I have this ball, I should not show the house. If I have this ball in the air, right? And then my hand is beneath it, right? So therefore, balanced force or homeostasis is achieved, right? The ball is staying. Now if I move my hand, this ball, I'm being charged, and charge eating space, so to speak. Shout out to Ken Wheeler for that terminology and specific way of wording it. But the point being, the way I thought of it back in the day, before that, was, okay, ball or me is heavier than the air, therefore we go back down until we reach something that can support our weight. There doesn't need to be a force trying to pull you down, right? Just by existing, it would make no sense that you just float around unless there's something pulling you down. No. By existing, your charge, so to speak, your energy. So you want to be a balanced force, and you're not a balanced force if you're floating around like a fucking retard, you know? Without gravity. But it's the point. If you needed gravity to not float around like a retard, it's not balanced force, it doesn't make sense. So yeah, shit falls because it's heavier than the air. Not because there's some optical illusion pulling it downwards. Everyone out there, I hope your mothers and the women out there, and the women in your lives out there, are good women. And there are, and they haven't fallen into the shit, because it's poison to everyone, but especially women, to teach them that the earth, everyone's mother in a sense, is constantly trying to pull that down. It almost subconsciously infects them with that mentality of trying to pull everyone down, you know. When that's not what's happening, the earth is setting everyone up, right? That's what a mother's supposed to do for her children. That's what family are supposed to do for each other, you know. As in, oh yeah, you relate to this person in your family. I mean, there's that, but there's also the family you choose. I mean, there's obviously overlap there if you're lucky, and the family you're blood related to happen to be cool people and whatnot. But and just think about this. However shitty the state of affairs that we grew up in is for us as guys, the impact of it being that shitty for us exacerbates things as well for the woman. All right, I got cut off due to lack of storage on the phone, but the point is, the point being, however shitty all these anti-existence faggots attempts to fuck with everybody and fuck everyone over, right? Cripple people, essentially, perspective-wise and mentality-wise. Shitty as it's been for us as guys. I mean, it's been awful. I mean, we're dealing with some scumfuck bastards out there. And there are a lot of people, more women than men, some men too, who are like fucking been completely fucked by it and are completely like don't realize they're being fucking used, essentially. Either way, those kind of people either wake up or they won't. But as far as quality people who are on the right track, man, I mean, however hard it's been on you, especially for guys, think about how hard, by virtue of that, it's been on these other people, you know? Think about how much more damage this shit has probably done to them. And then just from the guy's perspective, women have essentially been being targeted and tried to use against us for like at least, I don't know, at least minimum World War I onwards. As far as the way they're currently being used, right? Trying to use them like that started around the early 1900s, based on what we're told. So, at least here in America. So, and my point being, if it's shitty for you as a guy, think about how the fact that it's shitty for you as a guy then makes things even shittier for the woman, and it's vice versa. But as a guy, I mean, you're supposed to naturally, you're supposed to be the protector, right? A stronger one, in a sense. Not just physically, but like in a different sense, I'm saying. My point being, there are still cool people out there, men and women both, and the more that right the ship, to any guy out there who started writing his own ship but is for some reason still caught up on like hatred towards women over all the retarded women out there. The more of us that ride our ships, the more of them will ride their ships, right? I'm not going to say there aren't a lot of retarded women out there, but there are probably more reasonable people out there than most people would gather to venture on both sides, so, as far as men and women. So everyone just, I don't know, stay positive and moving in the right direction. The faggots who are out to get us all have already lost by virtue of being out to get us all, you know? By being anti-existence, you lose by default. Can you imagine being such a faggot that you choose to be anti-existence? Even if they would win by default, I mean, definitionally it would be the opposite of that. But even then, can you imagine being such a fucking micro-dicked, no-ego faggot that you would choose anti-existence? Because that's another, I'll talk about this. Longo from Old World, Florida, has some pretty decent takes on ego, as far as people need more ego, right? And to that I would say I agree. As what people mostly associate with having a big ego, I would say is just lack of ego, an ego deficiency, an ego problem. Like the retarded shit talking, not being funny or apt, trying to get to the point, but just like, you know, being a retarded faggot, that kind of shit talking behavior. I mean, people are going to know what I'm talking about naturally. That kind of shit doesn't come from having a giant ego. That comes from having not enough ego. That comes from not having ego, so you need to try to, you feel that vacuum requires compensation, right? Compensation, right? Requires something to fill it. So they try to fill it with acting like a fucking cuck faggot. You know? They're not, they don't hold to the center, you know? They're not stalwart enough in whatever they are that, they don't feel the need to rely on all this other shit. Versus dealing with the other shit as they would. If they were ever in such a situation that they would have to deal with that shit, you know? If that makes any sense. I don't know, man. I would recommend. I've heard so many people say, like, jokingly, look at the sun, it's like purifying or whatever. Unironically, yes. Don't hurt yourself, obviously, you know. Be smart about it. There are plenty of people who have been smart and have hurt themselves. I'll preface it with that, but the sun is to be looked at. You just got to be conservative in your approach, right? Conservative in your approach. This will breed expansion over time and utilization over time, right? And then it just keeps cycling and snowballing. It's a process of continual growth. That's what we're in. We're not in some event that we have to worry about the aftershocks playing out and then, oh, we're fucked. Time's up, over plow, right? It's a process of continual growth. It's a constant. That's what I didn't touch on. To put it in somewhat colorful language, it's a summer that never ends. This is the nature of existence. A summer that never ends. And that is the nature of conservation breeds expansion breeds utilization. A summer that never ends. Whereas the idea of expending, which leads to contraction, which leads to consumption, which will what? Lead to nothingness. Leads to a final winter, so to speak, you know? Yeah. I don't know if people who aren't already into astrology on a deep level will stick with any of the astrological caricature videos long enough to force aim to pique their interest, interest, right? But I don't know. I can't really try to understand what it would be like for someone, because like I recently had picked up astrology and things clicked. And I reconciled a lot of shit, and so now that helped. And then I'm also just, due to it, I'm also seeing things, seeing a lot of things, right, that I hadn't picked up on before, or I hadn't picked up on, like, as clearly before. Well, if anyone is interested, or if anyone is just interested in A Song of Ice and Fire rather than Game of Thrones, I mean, the first 3 seasons were okay, but even then, if you read the books are infinitely better. Point being, if anyone wants to talk about Song of Ice and Fire or the Amber Chronicles, as far as that stuff, I'm not going to be putting videos on either of those two out on the channel yet, because I don't want to fuck things for George, as I've pretty much cracked where he's going and how things are going to largely play out, right? As well as essentially one of the main processes and structures by which he wrote the entire story. It is abundantly clear of this once you notice it. It's just, it underlies the structure of the entire story. All characters, all events are underlied and based on this structure that I've noticed. And so between that and, again, this relates to the philolinguistics, so between that and the philolinguistics and logic, you can understand what he's going for. There are some people who have made some good points, but no one's... Azor Ahai, for instance, I have yet to hear anyone crack Azor Ahai, which is kind of funny. George is probably eating that up. Or maybe they have, and maybe people just moved past that so long ago. If they did, it was their mistake for moving past that interpretation. But, yeah. Either way, anyone wants to talk about any of that shit, you're going to have to message me, because I'm not going to post it directly on the channel. But I'll talk in private about it, assuming we won't not like wide-scale leak things. Like if small... I don't want to bring too many people in on this stuff yet, because I don't want to ruin things for George, and the Amber stuff would also end up possibly doing that, so I'm not going to post any of that publicly. Is there anything else I want to talk about? Oh, shit, man. What a doodle. What a doodle. What a doodle, man. Shit, man. Y'all don't nigga mean what, right? Like, what a doodle. All these black folks out there saying nigga. All these white folks saying don't say nigga. Don't say nigger. How can you say nigger or nigger? You're not black. You're not black. You listen here. You faggot or misled person. One of the two. Maybe both. Nigger. Misinformed, maybe rather misled. I don't know. Nigger means white. Right? The sun's rays are related to spears or arrows. So child of the spear or arrow, or child of the sun being white and expansive, or mega, nega, same word, niga. Vowels are interchangeable, as are M and N, as well as G and K. And to go just a step further as far as explaining, G, K, P, C, all interchangeable. And then P is interchangeable with B, T, D, V, and F. So from there, the others are interchangeable with G, C, and K. But to digress, nega, or mega, right? The expansive. So the nature of the sun, and then out of the spear, so again, the nature of the sun and of white on both accounts. There's also the fact that it's an anagram for Anglo, right? Or Engle. The point being that as far as the South Pole point of nigger, the people of the South Pole were white, right? These were people whose kingdom was founded from a man fleeing the North Pole to the South Pole after the first Ragnarok and establishing a civilization here. This man was an incarnation of Saturn, so this is the people of Saturn. And he founded them in the land of Saturn, that being the Americas, right? So, I know there's like this weird association between Saturn and Satan, and I'd like to clear up that misconception. So Saturn is the Lord, our Father above, who art in heaven, hallowed be his name, his kingdom come, his will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Amen. That he gave us, right? Saturn is the Lord that our Lord gave us. Saturn, fleeing from the north after the Ragnarok, the first Ragnarok, right, is when hell froze over and the North Pole shifted from Helsinki to what we now call the North Pole. Regardless, that was brought about by the anti-existence faction. So the man who did not like their principles and fled and founded his own breakaway civilization based on godly ideals, right? This man was their adversary, their enemy. Their first real adversary or enemy outside of like, defending themselves from other animals. And just like their archenemy, essentially. Because he's trying to start up and embody a godly kingdom. And some of these people are just misled. Like, there's a lot of misled people now, but there were a lot of anti-existence people back then who were, like, religiously appalled as they want to destroy everything. And this incarnation of Saturn was doing the opposite. He was building based on the principles of conservation breeds expansion breeds utilization, right? So the enemy, the adversary, Saturn, right? Well, who is he the enemy or adversary of? He's the enemy or adversary of anti-existence. And the thing in favor of anti-existence that they worship, right? That is the adversary, or Satan, or the devil in that sense. But I think the words Satan and the devil, I'm fine with people using them for them, but I'd like to clarify that you got to also understand that Satan and the devil, in an entirely different sense, and more clue to their structure, would relate to God and Saturn, the Lord He gave us, rather than the enemy, right? Rather than the anti-existent faction, because Saturn is as pro-existence as you can get. Frankly, everything, all the heavenly bodies are. But yeah.
Hallo Barmann, ich bin ein Nigger.